Hi, welcome to the Simply Warhammer review of secondary objectives. I'm going to be talking about the positives and negatives of all of them, and stick around to the end for my top 3. All the secondaries we're going to talk about come from chapter approved GT 2021, and in games like a 2000 point Strike Force game, you're picking 3 secondaries, and essentially these will collect points within each battle round up to a maximum. The choice of which secondaries you take and how many points you get with them makes an absolutely massive difference to winning a game. There's lots available, and which ones you choose will depend on things like your terrain, the mission, your army, and the opponent's army. Generally, you describe secondaries in 2 ways. Firstly, maneuver focused, where you move to a place, maybe perform an action and get victory points for it, and these are particularly based on missions and terrain. While secondly, kill focused, where you kill enemy models to get victory points. And this type of secondary is based on your opponent's army list more. There's various categories of secondaries, and I'll review each one in turn. There's Battlefield Supremacy, No Mercy, Shadow Operations, Purge the Enemy, Warpcraft, some mission-specific ones, and you can take 1 from this type, some faction-specific ones, and you can take 1 of this type as well. While I review the secondaries and come up with my best, it's worth noting that you should always try and pick ones that complement your army list. And consider getting 10 points out of a maximum 15 is actually really good. Starting off with Battlefield Supremacy, most of these are pretty good. Engage on all fronts, one of the best, and all it requires you to do is stand in different table quarters. You get 2 points for being in 3 quarters, so you're likely to get 8 to 10 points easily. Behind enemy lines, have some units in your opponent's deployment zone. It can be a tricky one unless you have some sneaky deep strike abilities. And one particularly good for if you have 5 objectives in the mission is Stranglehold. If you control 3 objectives, which is more than your opponent, you'll get the points. No Mercy is a killing category, so no prisoners is killing anything that's not a vehicle, monster or character. You add up the number of wounds that you've killed, and that translates to points. Since killing units is kind of what you do in the game anyway, this is a really good one to do. And it's particularly good if your opponent's got a lot of infantry, maybe around 100 to 120 wounds worth to try and kill. Grind them down is an interesting one as you get more points for killing more than your opponents. Not quite as good as you're not fully in control. And to the last, you have to keep high value units in your army alive. Not particularly great as it will change your playstyle as you have to be very careful with these units to keep them alive, which is maybe not playing to the strengths. Shadow Operations has a couple of popular ones. A particularly pointless secondary here is Investigate Signal, where you have to perform an action in the centre of the battle with no enemies around. It's unlikely to happen. Raise the banners high, you're performing actions on objectives. You do need to have lots of infantry in your army so that you can actually do the actions while dishing out damage yourself to the enemy. And it's best if there are objectives in or near your deployment zone, so it's quite mission specific. Retrieve Octarius data, doing actions in table quarters. It's similar to Raise the Banners, and it depends on which mission you're doing to which one of the 2 you'd take. Purge the Enemy is all about killing specific things. Titan Hunter is a bit pointless, it requires you to kill Titanic units. If your opponent has quite a few of these type of units, it's likely you're not going to get to destroy them all anyway. You might as well just take Bring It Down. Bring It Down is an excellent secondary, but depending on what list your opponent has brought, and it's about destroying monsters and vehicles. Assassinate's a great one to get at least 10 points a game, and it's about killing characters and warlords. And since most armies have 3 or 4 characters, should be rich pickings. Warpcraft is quite a strange one as there's some quite poor ones in here where you have to do strange requirements while performing a psychic action. Now this can fail or be denied and will take away a psychic power that you'd probably be using for offense or buffing. 3 particularly rubbish ones: Pierce the Veil, complete a psychic action near your opponent's battle edge. Warp Patrol, complete a psychic action near the centre of the board. Or Psychic Interrogation, complete a psychic action while in line of sight of an enemy character. These are all particularly difficult to achieve. A good one though is Abhor the Witch, which is about destroying psychers. You'd only take this if you're facing an army that has a lot of psychers, so maybe if you're taking on Grey Knights or Thousand Suns. So for facing one of those factions, you'd be maxing this out. And before giving you my top 3 secondaries, I'm going to talk about a few mission-specific secondaries. The best types of these are where you don't have to change your game plan, and you also get to score at the end of your turn. You've got Direct Assault from Sweep and Clear. This you do score at the end of your turn, and if you hold the central objective, which is pretty easy considering it's only 6 inches away from your deployment zone, you'll be able to max this one out. Priority Targets from the Priority Target mission. A complete auto take if you're doing this mission because you'll easily be able to max it out. It's scored at the end of your turn. You select a priority target and hold it. So you're basically selecting one in your own deployment zone and keeping it for the game. A couple of no-brainer mission-specific secondaries there, so let's look at my top 3. I'd say in 3rd place is Raise the Banners. You choose this if you have 3 objectives that are easy access to your deployment zone. Stick some OBSEC troops on there and perform actions, and you'll be getting 10 to 15 points each game. No prisoners. It's great when your opponent has lots of units you can kill for the secondary. Also, if your opponent has any wounds or unit regeneration, keep account of each one you kill because this all adds up to your total. For example, Necron Warriors and the Resurrection Protocols, you'll get extra points by keeping killing them when they come back. So this is particularly powerful against swarms like Tyranid or Orcs, where you'll be killing lots of units anyway as part of the game. You should be hitting 10 to 12 points easily. And the best overall, and the one that's most consistent for delivering points, is Engage on all fronts. It's also the most commonly picked. All you have to do is run into a table quarter, quarter, and you don't even have to do anything when you get there. You always have your 2 home quarters, so all you need to do is try and get yourself into one of the others, and you get 2 points. You should get 10 points for this every time without having to be too aggressive or having any special units. I hope you thought this was useful and it'll help you pick your secondaries. Drop us a like if you did. If you think I've got anything wrong, drop us a comment as well, and see you again soon.